Hello everybody and welcome back to GLC TV. We are here for the finals of the monthly January tournament at Clubhouse Games in Beaverton, Oregon. We got to see the second round of this tournament where we saw Zach triumph over Cory with his ancient fighting deck, and he is going to be playing against Mike, who is playing a tanky water deck using some interesting water cards we don't see very often in GLC. For those who don't know, Gym Leader Challenge is a non-rotating fan-made format similar to the Commander format for Magic the Gathering, in which you can play cards from the black and white set onward. You can only play Pokemon of a single type in your deck. You can only have one copy of any card except basic energies, and you cannot use any cards with rule boxes such as EX Pokemon or A-Spec trainers. So we've already seen Zach's fighting deck in action. We saw it in the previous video where he played against Cory's fire deck. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. You'll get to see it. But basically the way this deck works is he's got some big basic Pokemon. Three of the four have the ancient trait. The other one's Okidogi, who can get up to 230 HP with its ability. Uses tools to make them really big, make them very hard to knock out, and then uses cards like Penny and Scoop Up Net to put them back into his hand to reset the damage and be able to attack with them once again, as they have very cheap energy costs. And then we have Mike, who is playing Water. This is a water archetype that uses the very powerful Titan and Whale Lord cards to tank a bunch of damage while dealing huge damage themselves. This version, though, is using the Cloister from the 151 set, which can prevent 80 damage with its 2 energy attack that deals 80 damage, and in combination with some other damage reducing abilities, can actually make this Cloister quite difficult to knock out. And this Cloister was actually used in one of the online GLC tournaments by Tamer Mushroom 64 in their water deck. So I would not be surprised if Mike found the deck online and made some tweaks to it to make his own. But this is a tanky water deck, so we're going to see tanky water stage 1 Pokemon versus tanky fighting basic Pokemon. Alright, and so we have Zach, the fighting player, on the right, and Mike, the water player, is going to be on the left. We have the die roll. Tio goes first, and it looks like Mike won the roll, so he's going to be choosing to go second. And just a reminder, please make sure to subscribe if you like to get notifications of new videos. I know I only put them out every so often, once a week or so. So if you want to be notified, make sure to subscribe, hit a like. It really helps with getting the algorithm to promote these videos to other GLC and Pokemon fans. And so here we go. We've got our basics. No mulligan, surprising. And man, Mike's mat is like freaking me out. It looks like it's glowing, but I know it's just a playmat. It's crazy that Gengar's eyes. Ah. All right, and I think we're just waiting for the rest of the tournament to get set up. This was at the Clubhouse Games in Beaverton. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure you check out my video where I covered the October tournament. I did more of a profile of the store itself, and I got to talk to some of the players there and got that on video. So it's a really fun video where you get to meet some of our local players at these tournaments. And for this one, this was provided by Cory. So big thank you to Cory for recording these games in the January tournament while I am stuck at home with a new baby. Not stuck, of course, having a great time with new baby, but really appreciate that Cory was able to set up his phone to take a video and send it over to me so that I can make this gameplay content for all of you. All right, we're going to skip ahead here. All right, and away we go. We've got Zach starting off with Sandy Shocks, which can do 30 damage for 1 energy, but if there's 3 energy total in play in its side, on the Sandy Shocks player side, it does 90 damage. And gonna just start off, he's got the Ancient Koraidon on the bench. I'm gonna put a double turbo energy on there. And Mike starting off with, looks like the Whalmer in the active spot. Level Ball to grab Frostmoth, which is interesting. Indicates, always interesting when you search for an evolution you can't play. It kind of signals to your opponent that you got a hand that's worth disrupting. He's going to play Irida here. Going to grab Buddy Buddy Poffin and Shelder. He's going to go for the full bench setup with the Irida. Grabs Snom and Alolan Vulpix off the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Also has a Remoraid in play. And Mike is using proxies. You'll notice some of his cards are in black and white. That's because our store does allow proxies for GLC tournaments since it is a casual format. So really great store, letting people do that. Very laid back. I think hopefully most stores are letting people do that because I know some of these older cards can be a little bit harder to find. And Mike going to use the dive ball there and grabs the Cloister from the deck. It is his first turn though, so not going to be able to evolve any of these Pokemon. And Zach does run Hand Disruption in his deck. I know he's got the red card at least. So a bit risky there using the item search early. And Zach just going to pass. So Mike passed and Zach has the Slitherwing on the bench, but just had to pass there. And Mike is getting fully set up. Citadel on the bench from the Nest Ball. And then we know he's got the Frostmoth and the Shelder in hand. Or excuse me, the Cloister. It looks like we're just doing some deck checking. I do cut out a lot of the shuffling, so if it looks like players are not sufficiently shuffling their decks, do know that it's probably because some of the shuffling was cut out. And we've got, all right, there's the Frostmoth. Going to use that Ice Dance to get 2 energy onto the Cloister. And here comes an Iono. So we're going to have both players shuffle their hand to the bottom and draw 6 new cards from the top of the deck. I'm sure Zach was happy to see that after having a not very eventful turn on his second turn. Mike just digging for more resources. And there is the Whale Lord with the jumbo size ability. Does 240 damage for 4 energy if it has a special energy attached. There is a new Whale Lord coming out in the new Battle Partners or Journey Together set that has 240 HP, so even harder to knock out, and it has a Hydro Pump style attack that is a lot harder to deal with copycat Pokemon like Mimikyu. So curious to hear what all of your thoughts are on the new Whale Lord, if you think it's going to be problem for the format or maybe just something that is going to be people are going to be able to deal with. But Mike gonna just have to pass here. He needs to find a way to either power up the Whale Lord or get it out of the active spot, and that Frostmoth can only power up energy to the bench, so he's not going to be able to power up the Whale Lord while it's in the active. He probably wants to find a switch here. Trekking shoes for Zach, leading into an Okidogi on the bench. So we now see all of Zach's Pokemon are in play, all 4. We're going to see a Bill's analysis here as his supporter for turn. Lets him look at the top 7 cards and put any 2 trainers he finds there into his hand. Any trainers, so he can get supporters, items, tools, stadiums, any of those things. Very cool little supporter that you don't see played too often. And we've got a Rainbow Energy on the Sandy Shock. So now there's 3 energy in play since the double turbo does count as 2. So total 3 energy in play. So that Sandy Shock's now going to be able to do 90 damage with that attack, though it is reduced by 30 from the Whale Lord's ability. And the thing about damage reducing abilities, it might feel like they're just kind of similar to increasing your hit points, but it actually is not, because they multiply every time you have to hit the Pokemon that has it. So, and there's a Lake Acuity, so that's going to be preventing 20 more damage, so now preventing 50 damage total. And like I was saying, that damage prevention adds up each time you have to hit it. And there's an Acerola just going to heal all the damage off of that Whale Lord and get it out of the active spot. And here comes the Cloister. So we shortcut it. We often say that Whale Lord has 230 HP because you have to deal 230 damage to it to knock it out. But if you have to attack it twice, you actually have to do 260 damage to knock it out. And if you have to attack it 3 times, you have to do 290 damage to knock it out. So every time you have to attack it, it makes that ability more powerful. And there we've got the Cloister using that protected charge attack for 80 damage and going to be preventing 80 damage unless Zach can find a way to push it out of the active spot. And combined with that Lake Acuity, this Cloister is going to be preventing 100 damage. So I'm going to have to do 230 damage to knock this Cloister out. And currently, the Sandy Shocks cannot even damage it with its attack. It's just going to be doing 0 damage unless Zach can find a way to switch up his... He would ideally want to send out the Koraidon. Plays the Pokestop. Hopefully, I'm going to try to find a switch off the top here. Oh, going to start off with a Cynthia. So shuffle a hand into the deck and draw 6. And if he does get the Crydon in, the Crydon does, I believe it's 30 damage for the Unrelenting Assault and then plus 150 if an Ancient Pokemon attacked. So 180 damage with Unrelenting Assault, minus 20 for the Double Turbo, minus 100, minus 120. So you'd be doing 60 damage, and the Cloyster has 130 HP, so he's not even 2-hit KOing with the Crydon here. I don't think he's used... Oh, there's an Escape Rope. Nice. Okay, so Escape Rope gets to push the Cloyster. That's going to negate that attack's damage reduction, and whatever Mike sends out is going to be... And not even protected by Lake Acuity anymore. That's right, the damage prevention from Lake Acuity is gone. And that's the problem with damage reducing or defensive stadiums, is they're so easy to bump by your opponent. They're not as reliable as more proactive stadiums. So here comes the Crydon, and going to take the knockout with the Unrelenting Onslaught. 30 damage plus 150 more damage, since the Sandy Shocks is an ancient Pokemon that attacked in the previous turn. And now the cool thing with this deck is if Zach scoops up this Crydon and then can switch, then replay it, put a double energy on it, and get it back into the active, it will actually still get the bonus on the Unrelenting Onslaught, because it resets itself as it becomes a new Pokemon if it changes zones, goes to the hand or the discard pile, and then comes back into play, even though it says if another ancient Pokemon attacked. So here comes the Cloyster with a Pot Helmet, though, that's going to reduce 30 damage, and then going to play Ball Guy. So the Cloyster, if it uses attacks, going to do 80 damage, and then reducing the next attack by 110. And the 80 damage doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of works out in the favor of the water player, because it's dealing damage to the opponent who likely doesn't have any defensive modifiers. And then the opponent can't one-hit KO the Cloyster, and the water deck has ways to, as we saw, Acerola to heal. It also has the Mallow and Lana, so it can often fully heal the Cloyster with a Mallow and Lana and then put it back, and then it just keeps chipping away, and most likely getting ahead on the prize race through this damage reduction and heal strategies. Tank and heal, as they call it. Alright, so Ball Guy, I'm going to use the Suian Heavy Ball. I wonder what is in the prizes. I believe I see Inteleon in the prizes. And... oh, and a Sobble. The Sobble was in the prizes. And I believe the Octillery was prized, because I have not seen it. And he's had so many card searches to get it out. So I believe Octillery also prized. So rough prizing, actually. Sobble, Inteleon, and Octillery. And there is the Protect Charge attack for 80 damage. So Cloyster, 80 damage still is 2-hit KOing pretty much any big basic and a lot of stage 2s. But like I said, a lot of Pokemon are not going to be able to 2-hit KO this Cloyster. So as long as you're getting ahead on how many turns it takes you to take knockouts. And now Zach actually needs to find a way to get this Crydon out of the active spot if he wants to be able to do any meaningful damage. I love Pokestop in fighting decks. Just such a great way to generate value, whereas normally fighting struggles to generate value from the board. But the nice thing about Pokestop is, unlike other symmetrical effects, a lot of decks can't benefit from it without risking putting important resources into the discard pile. But fighting, you just put a bunch of recovery items in there, and you can get back whatever you lose. Okay, there's a Super Scoop Up. So that is an item card that on a coin flip is basically a penny. That would let him be able to reset that Crydon, get the damage off of it, and at least get the Sandy Shocks in, and start up the Onslaught again. We've got Trainer's Mail finding Revive. Important item card for this deck, since it only has 4 Pokemon total. Needs a way to get the Pokemon back into play as they get knocked out. Yeah, and here we go. Super Scoop Up. Oh, the Tails. He needed that to reset. And now that Crydon is kind of stuck there, unless he hard retreats it out of the active spot. Can't even do the regular damage it would do with all the damage prevention from Cloyster. Gonna just have to pass turn back to Mike, who's got not much going on. Needs to get this Whale Lord powered up. But this Cloister is a pretty big roadblock. There's a Recycle Energy on the Whale Lord. Yeah, just going to use that Protect Charge and get the knockout on the Koraidon. Yep, 2-hit KO with the 80 damage. And here comes the Okidogi. Although it does need a energy. Okay, Revive. Going to bring the Koraidon back into play. Okay, great play there. So I was able to use Acerola on the Sandy Shocks because of the damage counter from the Rainbow Energy. Lets him put the Rainbow Energy back into his hand and then put it back onto the Okidogi so he can use that good punch attack and break through that Cloister's defenses. Pokestops only finds a Pal Pad and puts a Guzma and a Research into the discard pile. And now he can start doing, so 170 damage, and he's got a Cape of Toughness on there. So going to be doing minus 110, so 60 damage. So, man, not even 2-hit KOing with the Okidogi, because he's going to do 60-60. The Cloister's got 130. But the Okidogi does have, let's see, 130, 230, 280, minus 10. So Okidogi has 270 HP, though. So Cloister not going to be able to really do the job. But if he could do Cloister and then get the Whale Lord in, that would actually knock out this Okidogi. We've already seen Acerola played. Could still penny the Okidogi. Scoop of Net also available as is AZ, but those will discard the energy from Okidogi, so doesn't really want to do that. Here's the Evolution Incense. This is going to probably prove to us who's prized. From Mike, the water player. Yeah, looks like failed to find. So no evolutions left on the deck. So Drizzile must be prized too. So geez, Drizzile, Inteleon, and Octillery. But we forge on with a Protect Charge for 80 damage. And if Zach can't find a way to force the Cloister or increase Okidogi's damage somehow, maybe he's not going to be able to take the knockout. Unless he can find a strong energy. Okay, gonna use Pal Pad. Not sure how I feel about Pal Padding before you use Pokestop. Generally, you would want to Pokestop first and then Pal Pad. But there might be a reason for this. Oh, Special Charge. Alright, so we're gonna get back the double turbo energy and looks like the counter energy going back in. Both players on 5 prizes so far. Again, this is what happens when you have tank and heal decks facing each other. It's going to take a while. But it's been really interesting so far. Just a lot of math to have to keep up with on how much damage prevention is happening. And how much damage counters are on things. So currently Cloister has 60 damage on it. Okidogi has 80 damage on it. Has not used the Pokestop yet. Fighting player's turn. Just shuffled 4 cards back into the deck. None of them are items, so. Okay, gonna just use Good Punch. I don't know about maybe. I wonder if Zach forgot to use Pokestop there, or if he didn't use it on purpose and maybe didn't want to mill an important card. Maybe didn't want to lose his penny, although he did have Pal Pad, so I don't know. And did Mike just draw into Mallow and Lana? That is perfect here. The Cloister has 120 damage on it, so he'll be able to switch and heal. Oh, wait a sec. Oh, he's only got... That was his second card. He's only got 2 cards in his hand, and the other card is Raihan, which he can't play. Oh, man, that's rough, because that would have been perfect. So, yeah, gonna just have to sacrifice it. I mean, he could play the Mallow and Lana to switch out the Cloister, but without the healing, the problem is the Cloister's just dead meat later. Might as well save the Mallow and Lana for the Whale Lord later. That makes sense. So, yep. So the Cloister going to deal 80 more damage and then gets knocked out by the Okidogi. And again, Zach not using the Pokestop there. So I wonder if he's probably trying to preserve a supporter in the deck, or maybe not discard the special energy he shuffled back in. That's typically why I'll save my recursion items, though. Oh, and there goes the Pokestop. Rough Seas. That would have been good, too, although that would not have saved the Cloister. But that's really good for this type of damage reduction deck. And there's the Raihan. So we're going to be able to get a basic water energy. And he sent the Titan up. And this is the new Titan from Surging Sparks. So water energy onto the Whale Lord. Gets to search for any card from the deck. This Titan needs 4 energy to do 150 damage. And he got the reversal energy, so that's 4 since he's behind on prizes, and 150 damage plus 160 that the Cloister dealt. That's going to take the knockout on the Okidogi. And now Zach is in a tough spot. He's got Slitherwing and Sandy Shocks, but his 2 main attackers are gone. He does have the Koraidon. He did revive it. Okay, so he's still got the Koraidon, but he needs to find a way to... That one's a little bit harder than Okidogi. And this Titan has 180 HP and has the same ability as Whale Lord. And we've got the Rough Season play. Uh-oh. Yeah, Zach is looking for an out. None of his Pokemon are going to be able to one-hit KO this Titan. Although now that the prizes are even, Mike does have to find a way to get 2 more energy on the Titan. So the Titan is not attacking anymore because the reversal energy goes to be back to being just 1 colorless now that the prizes are even. So we've got Slitherwing in the active. Koraidon on the bench. Oh, okay. Guzman Hala. Nice. Can get a tool, a special energy, and a stadium. Looks like we're discarding Super Rod and another card. And grabbing unit energy, ancient booster capsule. So no stadium. Booster capsule on the Slitherwing. And going to put the unit energy on as well. So that's going to boost Slitherwing up to 200 HP. And going to use Stomp Off and discards the Rigid Band. Woo! That was close. That is a pot helmet for stage 1s. And that would have made that Titan a real big problem to deal with. So that goes to the discard pile. Preventing 60 damage and healing 30 each turn. That would have been really bad news for Zach. So I bet he was pretty happy to see that one go. So yeah, Mike needs to find a way to get 2 energy onto the Titan. And that's the problem with Frostmoth. It is very good as a stage 1 Rain Dancer, but you can only put it to the bench. So sometimes you get stuck in situations like this with the Frostmoth. And again, Octillery and Drizzile still stuck in the prizes and had to just pass. And now Zach going to play an Iono. Going to give both players a fresh hand of 4 new cards. And this could be bad for Zach. He could be helping Mike here find a way to get out of this situation. A way to get a switch. But it looks like he just needs to do this. And he's going to Stomp Off again. Oh, the Float Stone this time. That was another card that would have been really good to get this Titan out of the active and switch in the benched Whale Lord. And there's the Professor's Letter to get 2 water energies. And so yeah, that Float Stone getting discarded was quite fortunate for Zach. And that Stomp Off is count as an attack for Unrelenting Onslaught on the Koraidon. So it's not like he's just spinning his wheels here. He is getting ready to start hitting back with the Koraidon and try to chip away at these big whales. So currently a Recycle Energy and a Basic Water on the Whale Lord, which needs 2 more energy, and then we'll be able to start doing 240 damage. We haven't seen Focus Sash yet from Zach's deck, but it seems like that would be really good. And there's Ice Dance, 2 more energy onto the Whale Lord. Did Mike draw a way to get this Titan out of the active spot? He's already played Irida. Hasn't played Versus Seeker yet. A Wash Energy. And actually, he could just hard retreat here. 3 retreat on the Titan. Just discard the basic, the reversal, and the wash. Yep. Here we go. It looks like he's going to do just that. So we're going to retreat the Titan into the Whale Lord. Special Wave. Knock out the Slitherwing. Mike going down to 3 prizes. Zach sends out the Koraidon. Has a basic fighting energy on it. There's a Marnie. It's going to put Mike back down to 4 cards and 5 fresh cards for Zach. And even if he finds a card, even if he finds a strong energy, he'd be doing 200 minus 30. So So 170 to the Whale Lord, and we know Mike still has the double turbo is painful. Oh, but he's got the focus sash. Okay, there we go. So he's gonna force this Whale Lord to take a 2-hit KO. He's gonna do 180 minus 20 minus 30, so 130 damage total. Yeah, right? Wait, what are they doing? 180 minus 20 for the double turbo, minus 30 for the Whale Lord. 150. Okay. 130. Oh no, the field blower. He had the field blower for the focus sash. And Mike now going to be able to take the knockout on the Koraidon with the special wave. And yeah, Mike did forget to use the rough seas there. I think he forgot he could have healed. But that's rough. Goes down to 2 prizes, and Zach down to just the Sandy Shocks. Not going to be able to attack. I think he was hoping to probably penny loop the Koraidon there and then switch back into it. He does have a Guzma though, so he's basically using it as a boss. It's tricky with Guzma. The way it's worded is you can't use it as a switch if your opponent doesn't have any basic Pokemon on the bench. But you can use it as a boss, even if you don't have any bench Pokemon yourself. Lux Cape on the Sandy Shocks did put the Titan back into the active spot, has the most retreat. Just trying to buy some time. Okay, Mike, back to Mike playing on Ultra Ball, discards Water Energy and Super Rod. And there is the Drizzile. Okay, I wonder if Drizzile was prized and then got shuffled away by Marnie or something. And there's a Switch Raft with the Drizzile, able to get the Whale Lord back into play and take the knockout on Zach's last remaining Pokemon. So that was a good game. I thought that was good. Back and forth. A lot of damage reduction, a lot of chipping away and positioning, but ultimately Mike was able to get set up and get his more attackers out and overwhelm Zach's fighting deck. So that makes Mike the winner of the badge for the January tournament, winning his water badge. I know he has a dark badge already from a previous tournament. If you've gotten one besides that, Mike, let me know, and I'll update it in the video or future videos. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.